Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Environment and Sustainability Committee meeting number 6 of 2023 on the 13th of July. Check councillor attendance, and we have all members of the committee present. Move to acknowledgement of country. Ipswich City Council respectfully acknowledges the traditional owners as custodians of the land and waters we share. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging, as the keepers of the traditions, customs, cultures and stories of proud people. Are there any declarations of interest in matters on the agenda from committee members? No? Next item is business outstanding, of which I'm not aware of any. Move to confirmation of minutes of the Environment and Sustainability Committee meeting number 5, 2023 on the 8th of June. Does any member of committee wish to ask any questions with regards to minutes? No? Then I'll ask for a mover. Thank you, Councillor Fechner. A seconder. Thank you, Councillor Kunzman. Open it for any discussion? No? Then I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Unanimous and carried. Thank you. Moving to officers' reports. First item is Urban Heat Island Project. In 2019, Ipswich City Council, Griffith University and University of Sunshine Coast partnered to conduct a 3-year analysis of urban heat island effects in 3 locations across Ipswich. The study also considered residents' perceptions about urban heat and how changes in urban design might mitigate these effects. The objective of this study was to identify possible solutions to mitigate urban heat islands and other undesirable climate change related impacts. The report, this is a report concerning the study design, results and recommendations from the 3-year project. Does any member of committee wish to ask any questions of an officer? No? Then the recommendation as per the agenda. Do I have a mover? Thank you, Councillor Fechner. A seconder? Thank you, Councillor Kunzelman. I open the matter for discussion.
Thanks, Chair. This is a project that I've been following with much curiosity over the years, along with some very passionate members of our community as well, also looking on. And I think that the most surprising thing is, and the report alludes to it, is that the results weren't that surprising to people. There's genuine awareness over the impacts of urban heat islands and the lack of greenery that exists in some parts of the local government area. We're not alone in this. It does impact other local government areas, and I support I guess, you know, the continued efforts. And I know that one of the recommendations or next steps here is that we continue to work with internal stakeholders, you know, across council, including those in planning and development, which I think is a really important relationship to foster, so that we're building strategies, we're making decisions based on this information. So although it wasn't new information for us, the collection of all of this data does help you know, make our decision making as an organisation better into the future. So yeah, I support this piece of work, and I'm glad it's finally come to us.
Absolutely, thank you, Councillor Fechner. Yes, I likewise have seen quite a bit of conversation within the community with regards to that, and specifically locally, location specific, where those effects are being noticed. And I must say, from what I have observed, the level of knowledge and intrinsic knowledge about urban heat island effects is very widespread. It's as if it's common knowledge. It's good to know that the community are on the pulse of that. And as you also said, it's those recommendations where it then becomes embedded as part of our practices, particularly in planning and development, how to mitigate those impacts. Yeah. Anything further?
If I may, Chair?
Apart
from learning a new word, albedo, I didn't know what that was until I read this. Yeah, I thought it was a really good study. Again, the recommendations I think are quite easy to read and look at how we could, and at the end there are a few recommendations that are quite practical as well. And I think we aren't a coastal community in Ipswich, so urban heat is always going to be a bit more of an issue for us. So I think there's some really great things there, like the Citizen Science Project and a few other things, as well as development treatments that we could look at. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything further? No? Then I'll put the motion. Those in favour? It's unanimous and carried. Thank you. The next officer's report is a supplementary item that was distributed on the 11th of July. It is published, so members of community would be able to see that. It's the Severe Weather February 2022 Recovery Plan Report, January to March 2023. This is a report concerning the ongoing activity of the Ipswich Local Recovery and Resilience Group in response to the February 2022 severe weather event. Does any member of the committee wish to ask any questions of a council officer? No? Then the recommendation is that the report concerning the severe weather February 2022 Recovery Plan Report be received and the contents noted. Do I have a mover? Thank you, Councillor Fechner. Seconder? Thank you, Councillor Kunzman. I'll open the matter for discussion. Councillor Kunzman.
Thank you, and I speak as the chair of the Recovery and Resilience Group. This is a long plan. It's a long plan, and it has moved from a constant reporting to business as usual. We have a long program of application for grants and receiving grants. And we also have many learnings, I'm not making myself clear. We have many learnings from the event that we've had in February 22. And these are around how floods actually work and so on. And we've also had an enormous social effect for people as well. And some of that is not fixed. I'm just making that point, that there are still people who are having to make decisions about whether they will accept buyback for their house and remove themselves from their normal environment. And we also have people who are still without a decent place to live. I'm just emphasising the length of time that this will take. And I'm also emphasising the good parts of this that happened and the way in the community came together as well. So we continue on. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other member of the committee wish to? Mayor Harding.
If I may, Chair, I'd like to thank Councillor Kunzman for her leadership here. I know it's not a committee, but as the chair of the local recovery resilience group, she's quietly leading this project to make sure that we get the recovery that we need. And we saw today, and Councillor Kunzman talked about becoming business as usual. We saw today in the Governance and Transparency Committee, I think item 4 for that procurement, that the road, that's becoming a bit part of business as usual as we transition from that formal recovery phase into that's now embedded as part of our normal business as well. And I think there was discussion on people's homes. It's also our social spaces and sports spaces. We know we still have a lot of our clubhouses that need fixing. We've Colleges Crossing and River Heart, so that our community is looking for that. And I thank the community for their patience because of the 2 flood events last year. But I know we're all itching to get those spaces again. And so thank you very much, Councillor Kunzman.
Yes, I'll also concur. Thank you, Councillor Kunzman, for your leadership in this space. But as it is stated in the purpose of the report and the background, we are now well into the long-term recovery phase, focused on restoring, rebuilding and reshaping our community after disaster. I don't personally believe that it really ever ends for members of our community. The recovery from that severe weather event will stay with those people for the rest of their lives. There'll always be a touch point there, I think. So it is something that will be ongoing. This particular timed report is done in respect to that and in that way. I would also like to, through the CEO, express my admiration for the work of our recovery coordinator and all partners involved in the recovery phase. The work continues to be ongoing, and those subject matter experts and amazing professionals within our community that have come together to deliver that work is outstanding. There are too many to list individually. The shoulders have been collectively put to the wheel to keep momentum and moving forward in recovery, and that's the main focus of that. Anything further? No? Then I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Unanimous and carried. Thank you. I have no notices of motion, no matters arising, so I will close the meeting, and in doing so, it being 12:11 p.m, it is timely. I'll consult with members of the committee as to how you would like to proceed moving to the next committee, whether we call a break for lunch.
Maybe call a break for 30 minutes?
Yes. So if we go for 30 minutes, that means the Ipswich Central Redevelopment Committee will commence at 12:42. Or do we want to make it 12:45 as a round number?
12:45.
12:45 sounds awesome.
12:45 is the time for the commencement of the next meeting.